Is she comfy yet? I think so. Okay. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I don't think you're straight. There we go. It's not gonna look straight anyways because I'm at an angle. Okay, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I'm so happy that you clicked on today's video. Today I'm going to be going over what I read in May and what I plan on reading or hope to read in June. Usually I have a pretty big hopeful list of what to read for the next month, and I end up either mood reading or only getting to 2 of the books just because I am doing this on top of working a pretty much full-time job. So it's okay. It's all right, because then some of them get bumped to the next month, and that's all right, and I eventually get to them, but it's good to be hopeful, and hey, if I end up reading more than I planned, then yay to that too. So let's first go over what I read in May. So the first book that I read was Heart of the Raven Prince, and I read this book on my Kindle, so I actually have the next one up and ready to watch. I have the next one up and ready to read, Kiss of the Selkie. It's the 3rd book in the Entangled with Fae series. So the 2nd book is Heart of the Raven Prince, and it was a really, really good book. This book is part of a series called the Entangled with Fae series. All of the books are Disney retellings. The first book is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. The 2nd book is a Cinderella retelling. The 3rd book is a Little Mermaid retelling. The 4th book is a Snow White retelling. And the 5th book, which hasn't come out yet, it comes out at the end of this month, is a Sleeping Beauty retelling, which I'm low-key so excited for because that was my childhood favorite movie ever. So I already read the first book, Curse of the Wolf King, and the 2nd book is called The Heart of the Raven Prince. So that is the book that I finished in the month of May, and it was such a good book. I gave this book 5 stars just because I love Disney stories. I love any Disney story retelling book just because I like seeing the little twist on a childhood favorite story just because I grew up with all of these stories. So it's just like, it makes my heart happy. So this book is about Ember meeting the Raven Prince, whose name is Franco. They don't really have the nicest interaction with each other when they first meet face to face. Franco is known to be this playboy prince who, you know, sleeps around and all of that stuff and doesn't really want to settle down. And this book is dual POVs, so you do get both people's point of views, and I really like that, and I think that's what gave it 5 stars, just because I love being able to see both the guy's point of view and the girl's point of view in the book. It really just helps develop the story more, and I don't know, I really like being able to see Franco's thoughts and everything and not just Ember's. From Prince Franco's point of view, you see that he doesn't want to marry a princess, which he does have to do before he can take the throne and take over for his sister. He has to marry and prove that he is a rightful heir to the throne. So Franco doesn't really want the throne, but his sister wants to keep it in their bloodline, and so she basically is making him take the throne, but she wants to make sure that he's ready, and he doesn't want to marry princess, so he decides he's gonna meet someone and just fake the love with that princess and marry them just so that he can take the throne and not have to worry about actually trying to find someone to fall in love with them, because he's just not in that mindset. So that's the point of view you're getting with Prince Franco and where he's headed or where he's wanting to go. And with Ember's point of view, you're getting her trying to go to this new world and escape her evil stepmother and stepsisters and get out of their control and go on to do her own thing and follow her dreams. And so it's all about how they meet and, you know, them being on different paths, but how they can also help each other in a way as well. So you get to learn a lot about both characters, both their point of views, and it's just such a good story, such a great retelling. I love all the twists and turns that it takes away from the original story, but it still at the same time keeps to that original storyline as well. So it's a really fun retelling of Cinderella, and I highly recommend reading this book as well as the other books in the series. I've only read now the first 2 books, but they're so good, and I loved the last book too. I'm pretty sure I gave that one 5 stars as well, so highly recommend the series. I've heard really good things about it, and I'm loving it so far myself. And also, if you're someone who's new to fantasy, it's such a great way to start into the genre of fantasy, just because they're such easy reads, and you already pretty much know the story as it is anyway, just with some new additions to it and some new twists and takes on the original story. So highly recommend it if you're new to fantasy and want to give the fantasy genre a try. The series is called Entangled Fae. The series is called Entangled with Fae. So the first book, like I said, is called A Curse of the Wolf King, if you want to look it up. But so yeah, that is the first book I read for May, is Heart of the Raven Prince. The next book I read was Happy Place. And this is about Wynne and Harriet and their entire friend group. So you do only get Harriet's point of view, but it is a dual timeline, so you get the past and the present. So it goes into the past of Wynne and Harriet's relationship, how they met each other. Harriet and her roommates meet 2 guys who are Wynne and this other guy, Parth, and their whole, them all becoming a really close-knit friend group and living with each other. Harriet didn't meet Wynne until like 6 months after Wynne had met the rest of the friend group, because she was studying abroad. So when she gets back and she meets Wynne, they click right away, and feels like so much more than just a friendship to them. So it's about them bonding, getting to know each other, eventually start dating. Then fast forward to the present tense, they go to this favorite area of theirs there, and it's called Harriet's Happy Place in her mind. So that's where it correlates with the title of the book. But this lake house is where their friend group would meet every year. It's always been a tradition. One girl in the friend group, Sabrina, it's her dad's lake house. But unfortunately, Sabrina's dad is selling the lake house, so this is their last trip up there, and they want to make the most of it. But what the friend group doesn't know, that Wynne and Harriet were engaged, and well, they do know that they were engaged, but they don't know that they broke off the engagement and broke up. So it's all about that, about their friend group and trying to navigate their relationship. And the friends in the group are just so real and raw, and I just love the personalities of all the characters in the book. I love how close-knit they are, but they're still realistic. Like, it's not all perfect. There's so many different aspects to this book, and it's so deep. Like, there's so much depth to the book and to the characters that it just made it more realistic and more enjoyable, because it wasn't just like a typical cliche romance, happy romance. Like, it's really a great mixture of literary fiction and romance at the same time, and they mesh really well together. So it's a really great book. All of like wording, how the author wrote the entire book, oh, she's amazing. So highly recommend reading Happy Place, or any of Emily Henry's books for that matter, because Emily Henry is such a good author, and this book was incredible. Every part of this book had so much to it that I never wanted to put it down, and the characters were so relatable, like especially Wynne and Harriet. They were so relatable, and I related the most with Wynne. I annotated so much of this book, and I can't wait to go back and read it again someday, because I already know I'm going to. As I was reading it, I'd finish a chapter and be like, dang, I really want to go back and read that chapter again. Like, it was so good. So I can't wait to read this book again. 5 stars for sure. I love this book and can't say enough good things about it, and so many people have rated this so highly, so I recommend reading Happy Place by Emily Henry. And now on to my June TBR, to be read. So there's a little bit of a mixture in genres. I don't really have one set genre that I'm sticking to, but I am leaning more toward, I don't know, kind of summery vibes and everything, since it is June, which is insane. I can't believe we're already in June. I hope that time slows down just a little bit. But I have 1 thriller, 1 literary fiction, 1 fantasy, and 2 romances. potentially a third romance. So the third romance that I'm mentioning, the potential third romance, is Kiss of the Selkie from the series that I was just talking about earlier. I do want to read that book this month, hopefully, just because of the live action Little Mermaid that just came out. I just want to read it because I'm in that mindset and in that mood. And I'm hoping to see the Little Mermaid movie this weekend, actually. So probably gonna read that one next after the book I'm currently reading, which is Daisy Jones and the Six. I'm so excited that I finally started this book. I've been wanting to start it for a while. And I especially want to finish it before I start watching the series, which is, I believe, on Netflix. So far in the book, they don't have chapters. It goes based on like a chunk of time, like an era of the band. So the book, if you haven't heard of it before, it's kind of like, it's not like your average book. This one is written like an interview. And so it has all these different characters' point of views, like paragraph after paragraph. Like it's just little snippets of quotes from each person within this band and people that, you know, knew the band or worked with the band. So it's about Daisy Jones and it's about all of the band members of the Six. So this is all about their story, but it's also about how they came to know Daisy Jones and how the whole band came to be, because they were separate. The Six was separate of Daisy Jones. So it's a whole interview about their experiences of starting as a smaller group, smaller band, as they expanded over the years and became this extremely popular band within. It honestly follows around the mid to late 60s into the 70s, 80s, 90s, and into the present day. So it is insane because these characters feel so real. And honestly, I'm still so stuck on if they are real characters or not. I really don't know because they feel so real. Like literally in the beginning of the book, Taylor Jenkins Reid, the author, says, "This book is an attempt to piece together a clear portrait of how the renowned 1970s rock band Daisy Jones and the Six rose to fame, as well as what led to their abrupt and infamous split while on tour in Chicago on July 12, 1979. Over the course of the last 8 years, I have conducted individual interviews of current and former members of the band, as well as family, friends, and industry elite who surrounded them at the time. The following oral history is compiled and edited from those conversations, as well as relevant emails, transcripts, and lyrics. The complete lyrics to their album Aurora can be found at the back of the book. While I have aimed for a comprehensive approach, I must acknowledge that this proved impossible. Some potential interviewees were difficult to track down, some were more forthcoming than others, and some unfortunately have passed on. This book serves as the first and only time members of the band have commented on their history together. However, it should also be noted that on matters both big and small, sometimes accounts of the same event differ. The truth often lies, unclaimed, in the middle." I don't know. I feel stupid because I can't tell if these are real people or not, because that was the author's note. Are they real people or not? But everyone, I'm pretty sure, was saying that they aren't real people, but they just feel extremely real. And then they ended up creating the series based off the book. I don't know. Either way, it's so good. Hey guys, it's Future Julia editing the video, and I decided to look up more about the book. So let me read to you guys what I found. Okay, so it says the series is based on the book Daisy Jones and the Six of the same name, but what you might not know is that the book is inspired by the real-life story of one of history's greatest bands, Fleetwood Mac. So the author, Taylor Jenkins Reid, was first inspired by the band when she saw them perform in the 1990s. She was confounded by Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham's performance and their ability to act like they were in love after a brutal breakup. She stated that she wanted to write a story about that, about how the lines between real life and performance can get blurred, about how singing about old wounds might keep them fresh. So, yeah. That's basically what Daisy Jones and the Six is inspired by. So they're not real people, and it's not a real band technically. Well, now they kind of made it a real band, and they made their own album inspired by the book, but it's truly inspired by Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham. So that is an update on that. I needed to get clarification because I was genuinely so confused. Okay, now back to the rest of the video. The characters are really interesting and it's so fascinating. Like, it's such a fascinating read and I really recommend it so far. I mean, I'm only this far in. It's about 100 pages in, so I recommend giving it a try. A lot of people have raved about it, such huge reviews, which is why they're making it a series. But that is the book I'm currently reading. I'm loving it so far and it's so easy to get into. I also recommend, if you do read the book, to look on Spotify. They have both, the band themselves have like an album, but then there's also one that's like reading Daisy Jones and the Six. Like, it's a playlist made with songs that just kind of get you into that mindset and that vibe of the book. And so it has like a ton of different artists' music within this one playlist. And it's just really fun to listen to while you're reading the book to really immerse you in the story. So highly recommend that. But then after I finish that book, I might read Kiss of the Selkie. And then my 2 romances that I want to read are The Love Wager and The Summer I Turned Pretty, just because, I mean, it's summer, so I can't not. I do want to give that series a try now. I already finished the first season of the Summer I Turned Pretty series. If you haven't heard of the series before, it's a 3-book series and they did make a TV series based off of it. The first season is out and the next season, I honestly don't know when it comes out, but I already watched the first season, really loved it, and I want to go back and read the books before the next season comes out. But I believe each season is going to be based on each book. So I know that I'm going to know a lot of what happens in this book, but I know there's so much more depth to books than there is to this series, like the TV series or the movies. So I'm excited to read this book just because I want to see what else is in this book that isn't in the show. And of course, because it's a summer read, like obviously it takes place in the summer and I just want to get into those summer vibes. So if you haven't heard of any of it before, this is about a girl. Her name's Isabel, but she goes by Belly. So it says, when each summer begins, Belly leaves her school life behind and escapes to Cousins Beach, the place she has spent every summer of her life. Not only does the beach house mean home away from home, but her favorite people are there. Susanna, her mother's best friend, and her sons, Conrad and Jeremiah. Belly has been chasing Conrad for as long as she can remember, and more than anything, she hopes this summer will be different. Despite distractions from a new guy named Cam and lingering looks from Conrad's brother Jeremiah, Belly's heart belongs to Conrad. So I'm really excited to read this book and then get into the rest of the series, but I know that I probably won't get into the rest of the series, of course, this month, especially because I don't have the 2nd and 3rd book yet, and I know that I have plenty of books already on my TBR, but I at least wanted to start with this book this month, so I'm excited to read this book too. And then with The Love Wager, I don't know, it just, romances always give me summery vibes, and so I've been wanting to read this book. I've mentioned it in my previous book videos. It's just one that I really want to get to because it is a newer book that just came out recently by Lynn Painter. Hallie Piper uses this dating app and she comes across this guy named Jack Marshall. They meet up and they decide that they are totally not right for each other, but they decide to make a love wager and see who can find their love first. So it's all about like who can meet someone first and all of that, and there's like a wager behind it. That's all I really know about it, but I've heard pretty good things about the book, so I want to give it a try myself. Then I have my thriller mystery suspense novel and my fantasy read. So my fantasy read is Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I don't know if I'm gonna get to this book or not. I might not, but I just have it on there in case I decide I want to read it, just because this one does give kind of Alice in Wonderland vibes, and it has more of this magical, lighthearted fantasy feel to it. It's not like a heavy, deeply involved fantasy book. So potentially I'll get to this book. I don't know. That's one of those hopeful ones that it's okay if I don't get to. But then the last book, the thriller mystery, murder mystery book, is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. This book I've heard so many good things about. My roommate has read it. Shout out to you, Michelle. But she really liked this book, and a few other people that I've heard talk about this book have really liked it as well, including Haley Pham. Shout out to Haley Pham as well. She was obsessed with this book too and gave it 6 stars, I believe. So I really want to give this a try, just because I want to throw in a thriller mystery book. I haven't read one in a while, and like I said, I've heard really good things about this one, so I feel like it'll keep me on my toes, and when a book is like that, I read it pretty quickly, so I feel like this would be a fun read to get to. So that is all of my books for what I hope to read in June, and all the books that the 2 books that I read in May. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Leave a comment below if you've read any of these books or plan to read any of these books, or what your TBR is for this month of June. I'm always excited to talk to people about books and what they plan on reading or what they have read. So yeah, leave any comments below about these books if you've read any of them, and if you plan on reading any of them, or what you plan on reading this month. Also, for those of you that do know me or have me on socials, you probably know that recently I got engaged, and I just wanted to say that I am making a video about the trip home and about the proposal, the engagement, and all of that stuff, but it is taking a while to compile all of the videos together, and I want to make it good, so just be patient with me. It is coming soon. Hopefully it'll be the next video that we watch, or that we'll upload, but that is coming soon, so stay tuned for that. I'm so excited to release that to you guys so you can see it, but it was such an incredible time, and I am really excited to finish this video so that you guys can see it and everything, but stay tuned for that. I wanted to make sure to mention that. So anyway, I hope you are all having a great day. Thank you so much again for watching today's video, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!